All right, it's time. Episode number 82. Welcome back. I'm not doing a lot of these anymore just because of time and motivation, but this one will be short, I think. I want to start with, well, first, it is about 6:09, about an hour before the Colts kick off against the Vikings. And this Sunday night football has not been good for me. I have a schedule on Sundays. I get up, eat breakfast, have my coffee, get some work done. Been going to church at 10:30, home about 11:45, football at noon. That's been my schedule for several weeks, and now I got a 7:15 game, and I don't like it. I've been sitting around all day trying to do stuff, but I also won't be able to stay up till the end. But we'll be down by 32 at halftime. Probably won't matter. So I'm trying to sneak a podcast in to pass the time a bit. So like I said, episode number 82, I'd like to update my presidential platform. If you've listened to this at all over the past 81 episodes, you know that I throw in some things when I'm president. So I have two new ones. One, Christmas decorations, music, shopping, anything Christmas no longer, when I'm president, cannot start until the Monday after Thanksgiving. It's way too early. I went to Target this morning. It's covered in Christmas music playing. We haven't even had Thanksgiving yet. So it has to be the Monday after Thanksgiving. You are not allowed to shop. You're not allowed to spend any money. There can be no Christmas music, Christmas trees until the Monday after Thanksgiving is over. Also, there will only be two official holidays in America. There will be Thanksgiving and Christmas. That's it. That's all you get. Now, July 4th seems like it's probably important for our country. You can have that one as optional. You will not be penalized, no consequences if you celebrate. But if any other of the days other than Thanksgiving, Christmas will not be official national holidays, therefore there will be no celebrations. People have asked me why I don't like Halloween. I don't know why, but it's not because I'm old and get off my lawn yelling at clouds guy. I didn't really like it as a young person, kid either. The only Halloween I can remember is the one in 6th grade where I broke both my arms. I fell out of a tree and my mom turned me into a mummy because my arms were both, it was old school casts, were like plaster. So they were stuck out in front of me like a mummy, and she wrapped me in toilet paper, and I went door to door and had to have, I think they hung the trick-or-treat candy bag on one of my arms. That's the last one I can remember possibly enjoying. So that's it for my adding that to my presidential platform. I think I'll get 50% of the vote of people who also agree with me about Christmas. Got to be after Thanksgiving. So let's get to some tennis stuff right away. So I had a conversation this week with a player on the court who told me that she watched a YouTube video of a coach. Great. And this coach told her and the world that the serve and volley is dead and it shouldn't be taught anymore and no one should ever do it. Pretty adamant, confident in her belief in this YouTube character. I don't know who it was. So we kind of had this back and forth. I told her that that was one person's perspective online. Anybody can go online, including me. And that it was one person and she probably shouldn't make her decision based on this person she doesn't know her game, hasn't worked with. But she was very clear that she was done serving volleying. And I asked her if it was more than one coach. And she said, well, I'm sure it was a lot of coaches. Well, I don't know that. So this player listened to one coach who told her that serve and volley is dead. He may be right in the professional ranks. You don't see it much anymore because the returners are so good and the serves are so good and they're just better athletes now. But for her to say that she was done forever, and we had been working on serving and coming in. And so that kind of killed it all because somebody on the internet said so. So my recommendation to you is don't listen to the internet completely. Don't listen to me completely. Don't listen to all your coaches. We're not 100%. I've talked before on here that my college coach, Famer, he didn't allow the words can't, never, and always. I don't either. Get rid of them. Right? You shouldn't always listen to me. You shouldn't always listen to YouTube guy. You also shouldn't never listen to them. Pick and choose what works for you. And this particular player has a quality serve, really good volleys, great net player. It would benefit her to throw in some serve and come in a little bit. But to say absolutely not because you listen to YouTube guy, that's crazy. So for those of you that listen to the internet and YouTube and all the tennis stuff out there, including me, just pick and choose what works for you. Because serve and volley would definitely work for this player occasionally. And it puts stress on the opponent. It gets you moving. It gets you sweating earlier. There's so many benefits to it. But YouTube person, they don't know you. They're trying to sell things. They're trying to get you to subscribe to things and buy their books and get clicks and sell ads. So they're going to say, I don't know, controversial things. I make no money on this. I have no ads anymore. I tried it, didn't like it. So I have no reason to send you down the wrong path. I don't make $1 off of this. Why? I'm not good enough to make any money. But just don't believe 100% in any of your coaches. Get some second opinions like you would in any other aspect of your life. I did a presentation last week for a program the WAC offers called WAC U for WAC University. It's basically where they allow employees and bring in some outsiders to give presentations about different topics. So I decided that I wanted to do one. I've been planning it for a bit. Mine was titled Pink Flamingos, a Police Officer, Ace Hardware, and a Man Called W. So over my podcast, I pretty much just tell you my stories and my life. So this is basically a storytelling time, me talking about how from when I lost my job at Moreland all the way to today. And so I'd say pretty personal stuff. They talked about losing a job and the battle to find another job and pay the bills. And it went through my time in the hospital and these pretty personal things to me. And it's the first time I've ever done a presentation or a speech that wasn't on a tennis court. So I was a little concerned and anxious about not having that crutch for me on the court. So I actually took my racket and I had 25 people there, about 6 to 8 that I knew well, I work with, that I was comfortable with, and they know me. But I had some fears, and I started my presentation with what my fears were about what I was about to talk about. And there were 3 things. Swearing, and I don't swear much, but I believe 100% in a well-timed swear. Telling a story can raise and lower the attention level and add some impact to it. So I was concerned about swearing too much. Slurring my speech, because when I was in elementary school, I had to go see Mrs. Toth because I could not figure out my R's and my L's. And every day, at least once a day, I still screw that up, whether it's on the court or at home. If there's a word that ends in an R and the next one starts with an L, I will butcher it. One of the hardest names for me is Carl. So if your name is Carl, I might just call you C. I ordered, a few weeks ago, I tried to order an Arnold Palmer drink from a coffee shop I go to, and I butchered it, and the person helping me looked at me like I was insane. But Arnold Palmer is really difficult. So anyway, those are, my third one was crying. I cry at a lot of things. I mentioned in my speech that I cry at Full House episodes, anything with dogs and cats, kids, family, all that kind of stuff, sports, movies. So I would call myself definitely a crier. So I knew it was going to happen. I wasn't going to stop it. I actually started about 30 seconds in tearing up because the beginning of my speech was, I'm floating on a pink flamingo in my temporary backyard pool and I get a text that I lost my job. And so imagine that hitting me all at once, and then I have to tell stories about it. So anyway, starting off with those 3 fears I had kind of relaxed me and told the group what was coming. And when I did get somewhat emotional, they were cool with it because I had told them this is coming. I will tell you, I swore, not terribly. It wasn't awful. I did okay. I did not slur my speech at all. So The fear thing, took that, and I didn't mean to in this presentation, but I took it to the court the next week. So when you're playing primarily doubles, because that's primarily what people play and what I coach, what are your fears when you're on the court about your opponents? A different topic is about yourself, but what do you fear with your opponents? What do you absolutely have to prepare for and stop and limit if you want to win that match? Because I think most people just go out and they might have a fear of someone hitting hard or someone just losing in general, but I'd be specific. What are we worried about? If I'm playing doubles with Jim Johnson. He's a good player, Jim Johnson. We're going to look at our opponents and find out what are we worried about. All right, so this person, we know they have a history. They're the best lobber on the planet. We're not going to let that person beat us. They're not going to lob us, right? Or someone hits really hard. We're concerned about, well, can we handle that kind of pace? Well, we're not going to allow that. We're going to limit how often we give them shots. Great volleyer. We're going to limit how often we let them engage us in volley battles. Whatever it is, start looking at what are you concerned about across the net from you. In addition to what your own skills are, stop that person. So I always use Michael Jordan. He's the GOAT. Don't tell me it's LeBron. We're not friends anymore. It's not even close. Michael Jordan always got his points. Everybody had the fear he's going to score 30 to 40. Right? But you can't let Scottie Pippen also have 40. And you can't let B.J. Armstrong make 10 three-pointers, or Steve Kerr. You've got to let Jordan have his, but stop the other. So you're terrified of Jordan, but you knew you were getting. You can stop the other guys. So maybe you stop the other guy. One guy's got or girl's got a great serve. They're going to hold serve every time, without a doubt. Well, let's really take care of our returns against that other person. When you go on the court, have an idea of what are they good at, what is going to cause you to lose, and then go after that. Because you can't go after everything. Also, when you're playing, try not to cry. Although I have cried on a tennis court, I'm certain of it. And I've sworn, and I've probably slurred my speech, so I probably failed in all those. And also in tennis, so this one came up, because as you know, I've been stealing from church. So this morning, the band was playing, and there was this... one of the singers I hadn't seen before, and the whole time she's sitting on a stool. And during the first couple songs, probably couldn't hear her very well. Wasn't real bold and almost like wasn't there. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, come on, let's crank it up. Or is this a new singer, not very good, not confident? And I probably should have been thinking about the message of the song, but I wasn't. But so I misjudged this person, because by the third song, this woman stood up and let it rip, and loud and proud, and she took over, and by the end they are clapping for her, because she finally found her moment and had been patient and just sitting on her stool and kind of going about her business, and then she stood up and blew the place away, and it was pretty awesome. And I misjudged that situation severely. But I just thought it was cool that she took her time. She was just warming up. And then she stood up and crushed it. And I think it's important on the court, you don't misjudge people. And you're always waiting for them to turn into something. Don't just judge them because of what you might think their speed is. Or they warmed up poorly. Or... second serve was weak, because they may be saving that for big moments, which we've talked about a lot on here. Keep something in your holster, and she stepped up and crushed it, and I was very impressed, and also felt bad because I definitely judged this person wrong, and I wish I was better at it, but I won't get better at it. I can keep saying I will, but I probably won't. I gotta be honest. But look over there, and you might think somebody, maybe they're a little slow. Well, don't play like they are, play like they're fast. You might think they hit a little slow. Well, you never know when they're going to bring the heat to you, and just stay prepared. Don't judge them until it's done. And kind of lastly, and again, this is a message the speaker this morning, the pastor, told about growing up as a kid. He had a family of water skiers. It's nothing. I've never water skied, and I will not. I'm a wimp. Too dangerous. I will drown for sure. Not going to happen. But his family did, and he talked about how his dad started all the kids and started him behind the little boat, and talked about the wake, which I don't know much about, but I guess it's the waves that come off the back of the boat. How he had to learn on the little boat, and then eventually his dad told him it's time to get behind the big boat, and how scared he was, and how many times that he fell off because the big wake terrified him, and he kept trying to get into it and get bigger leaps and jumps and more action, more fun. He talked about how the bigger the wake, the more fun it is. But he kept going over into the wake and crashing and flipping over, and his dad would tell him, you got to do it again and do it again, because the big boat is where the action's at. And the whole lesson was about what is your capacity for difficult adventure, was one of the questions. Are you willing to pay the price for a bigger adventure versus just kind of going with the flow and not creating things and not trying to get better? And we've talked here about being uncomfortable. Short-term versus long-term goals. And again, it's all tennis. So I teach players, and I'd say it's getting better, but the majority are probably still not willing to change something because they cannot risk a short-term loss. And that's what this talk was about, that initially he wasn't willing to go into the big wake because he didn't want to crash. He was terrified of the results. But his dad knew that if you just keep doing it, the fun on the other side is so much better than being behind that small boat. And I find it really, really difficult with adults. I lived for 20 years in the junior world, trying to get kids to accept being bad now so you can be great later. And I think it's such a hard thing for any coach, whatever sport it is, to convince players to sacrifice the current moment for bigger moments down the road and get that trust from them. So as a player, are you willing to lose a match now so you can win multiple matches later? Are you willing to get behind the big boat? And in tennis, that can mean changing your serve, especially at the club level. That's the thing people avoid. They will not change that continental grip. But I'm telling you, the ones I work with that change it and stick with it, they pass everybody else. Are you willing to learn how to hit topspin when you've sliced your whole life? And if you're not, you're just going to kind of go behind the small boat. But sometimes you got to jump behind the big boat and take the bigger waves and know you're going to crash. It's such a difficult thing to teach people to do. And there's probably things I thought about it in my life. I just sort of go with the flow. In my regular life, at work, I think I take more risk and come up with programming. I've got one now that I think is likely to fail, but I'm trying it because I'm not going to get any better and I'm going to get bored. I think boredom is something too, that if you're on the court and you're just not advancing, then you're doing it wrong. Let's change something. You've had 17 coaches tell you to change the continental grip so you can have a slice serve, have a kick serve, have a drop shot, have a better defensive lob. You can do so many things with that. But right now you're stuck in one and you won't do it. So why not? Who cares? If anybody's listening to this is on the pro tour, then stop listening to me. I'm not your person. This is the wrong podcast for you. I'm looking at people who live the life of 99.5% of the world. Club players, rec players, playing at the park, playing in USTA leagues, playing high school tennis. Those are the ones I'm talking to that need to take that risk and get out of the small boat so you have a chance to get behind the big boat and ride some big waves. Kind of sounds like surfing. I'm going to start. That's going to be my New Year's resolution for 2025. I'm going to go water skiing. No, I'm not. That's dumb. If you're listening to this and have a boat and they're like, I'm going to take you water skiing, that's a hard no. I won't even show up. But thanks for the offer. So as you play, we just went through a lot of tennis stuff. I hope some of it's valuable. Like I said, this is short. But I think the most important thing from today is Christmas, not until after Thanksgiving. 2 official holidays. Stop listening 100% to your YouTube coach. Go talk to the coach that sees you play every single day and watches your matches and knows who you are and how you behave and what your mindset is on the tennis court, because YouTube coaches don't have that. Many are good. I've seen some great stuff. But just be really careful. Get behind the big boat sometimes. Take a little bit of a risk and learn something new. I wish I lived my real life like I lived my coaching life. I'd be a much better person. But I gotta go. It is about a half an hour until the Colts take on the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm only gonna be able to stay awake for about a half, probably, and I'll catch the rest later. Thanks for listening. As usual, you can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Email me at scottfickstennis@gmail.com. Comment on my stuff. Love to talk tennis, pickleball, any coaching stuff. And I appreciate those of you that are still listening. I'll see y'all a little bit later. Bye-bye.